just when you thought we ran out of names to talk about for spring ball, this just in, the names don't end. The list keeps going. And the number of true freshmen coming into UGA this year that you need to have your eye on for spring is endless. We're going to give you more names. We gave you 3 yesterday. We're giving you 3 more today. Next on the Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. He is Clint. Today's episode brought to you by Nissan. Find out more at nissanusa.com. More on them in a second. Thanks so much for making the Locked On Bulldogs podcast your first listen of the day. We're so happy to be with you. This is a podcast for fans and by fans of the University of Georgia. If you're new to this show, if you're just finding out about us, yes, we are homers. Yes, we are unapologetically Georgia fans. No, we do not care if you are an Alabama fan and you are here boosting our ratings. We are happy to have you.
For being here.
It's wonderful to get to know you and your very clean-mouthed head coach that is going to take you to new heights as a program. Cannot wait to see how it all turns out. As for us, we're just going to talk about the lowly Georgia Bulldogs who are going to come in this year as one of the odds-on favorites to win the national championship again. And there's a lot of names on this team and a lot of familiar faces. Georgia did lose some players to the draft, but there's a lot of players coming back on this squad, which is why optimism is high in Athens. But that doesn't mean that there's not room for some new blood, for some new faces. And that's kind of what the last couple episodes have been about. We're giving you 3 names of players to watch going into this spring. Players you're going to want to keep your eye on as we progress towards the 2024 college football season. Now, yesterday on Monday, we gave you our first 3 true freshmen to watch. You're going to want to go back and check that out.
Yep.
I may have gotten a little carried away in the third segment.
No.
I may have made a comp that
I'm not making you take it back, and I'm not asking you to take it back. As a matter of fact, I'm stopping you from taking it back. You hold that line.
Third segment yesterday got weird, but
You did.
We're back today, and we're back with 3 more names, and I can assure you the third segment today is also going to get weird, Clint. But let's start in the first segment, and I'm going to give you my first name. And he's an offensive football player.
Yeah.
He's not a defensive football player. Now, I like the defensive class here, but I think the theme of today's episode is going to be curiosity, if anything. Sometimes you just need to see somebody, not because you project them as a day one starter.
No.
But because you just got to see for yourself what they're all about.
Give me eyes on.
And 6'7", 365, that's a person I need to see. Daniel Calhoun, offensive tackle, coming in for the University of Georgia. When you lead with a Marius Mims type size,
oh no,
that's something I'm gonna need to go ahead and get my eyes on for myself. Now, Daniel Calhoun played his last season at Walton High School, familiar to all Georgia fans there in Marietta. And listen, it's just a big old boy is all he is. You're not going to be surprised to know that he excels in the run game. That's what he's been asked to do most in high school. He's got a wingspan over 7 feet, Clint, which means
that's a lot.
He's going to be able to pass pro just fine. He's going to be able to say, you're going to stand over there, and I'm going to stand here. And most importantly, Carson Beck's going to stand back there, and you're never going to get anywhere near him. I am very curious to see Daniel Calhoun in action, to see what he can bring to this Georgia team. He is, by all accounts, probably going to come in as quite a raw prospect. Again, he's probably going to need to clean up some of the technique, especially in the pass pro. I don't necessarily know, it's not like I think he's a candidate to slot in at one of the tackle spots early on, but this is a guy that I could absolutely see spending a year getting developed and then being primed and ready as the tackle spots become up for grabs and available in future years. This is a guy you're going to want to watch. We're going to get to see him in action, hopefully early and often this spring, and I am very curious to see what the big man can do.
I mean, Daniel and I were talking about this off air, and listeners, I want you to understand we have had number one classes before. We've had great recruiting cycles. We've had great recruits, 5-star, 4-star, 3-stars, developed people. We've had all of that. And I'm trying not to let myself because we're in the present. We're here right now. We have Carson Beck back. That is the best chance we have at a national championship because we have Carson Beck back. If you go back and look at this, like he is the hope we have for this, not because the rest of the team sucks, because we're very, very talented, but because of that. It's an exclamation point.
This is the year. Georgia's not in a rebuild like some of the other schools that we've already mentioned on this podcast. Georgia's in a win now type of situation.
Right. And look, Kimberly DeBoer is fantastic. We loved the hire all the way through. So
she sounds hideous.
Do fantastic stuff. Okay. Here's this class.
Yep.
We don't need transformational get us to the next level. We are the standard level. This class could put us miles ahead of number 2, whatever 2 program you want to put in. You put the name down. I don't care.
Sure. It's Ohio State in terms of recruiting.
Right. We can distance ourselves because you just listed. That's not the biggest offensive lineman we have on campus right now, Daniel, who is a freshman.
Right. No, you're right.
Like he's more refined.
Sure.
And by the way, when I say not the biggest, I mean a difference of like 10 pounds and an inch.
Sure. The tackles in this class, Clint.
Oh my gosh.
We talked yesterday about the linebackers. We could talk about the corners in this class. The tackles in this class, Clint. But Daniel Calhoun's the one I'm watching.
He is the one I'm looking for as well. That's a great one. We're going to come back after this. I'm going to give you a name, and it's going to be on offense. Yes, on offense. I know I'm shocking everybody. But first, these. And these are, in fact, Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Yeah, that's Daniel and I on this podcast. Ever wonder what adventures could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is always updating the assistant to call for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting to your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. 2024 Rogue is a perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure, as well as the Pathfinder has room up to 8 and expansive cargo capacity and advanced availability 4x4 capability. 284 horsepower, up to 6,000 pounds towing. With adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com.
All right, Clint. I took us to an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Daniel Calhoun. You mentioned that you're going to stay on the offensive side of the ball, which is intriguing to some, because now I guess I know where we're going in the third segment.
Yeah. No, third
today.
segment, we got to switch back and forth a little bit, Daniel, because my
Yeah.
asterisk is not on offense. My asterisk's on defense. So
Yeah.
loyal third segment listeners, 199. Come on back for the loyal
We'll get
third
to that.
segment.
But first, let's
Yeah.
go double. Let's double up on the offensive side of the ball. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go, but where do you want to take us in segment 2?
We have running backs that aren't on campus right now, Daniel.
Okay.
That we're very excited for.
That is correct.
Okay.
There's
Frazier's coming in still yet, multiples of them. Chauncey Bowens, just this is my way of getting to the guy. Chauncey Bowens has an opportunity, 5'11", 225, has the opportunity to show us why 3 stars was a massive oversight on his recruitment. He is not a 3-star, he's a 4-star, easily out of Florida. The kid is making some things. But Daniel, I keep on hearing and watching and seeing people talk about who's going to catch balls at UGA.
Okay. Yeah,
We
that
have a
seems
number
to be
of
a
them so far.
conversation.
It's a conversation. We got Jimmy C back in the fold.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Clint. If I could
Please
just for a moment.
go ahead.
Georgia just hasn't had any good receivers lately because
doing it
after
right.
all, Ladd McConkey was a mediocre second or third option, according to NFL draft experts.
I'm not kidding. When I say this next thing, I am not disparaging you, fan. I am disparaging the NFL. If you are at home and you're thinking to yourself, I bet I can be an NFL scout. Literally,
You can.
don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Watch 20 hours a week of college football, and you are more advanced than almost all the NFL scouts out there.
Just make a pot of chili and
Okay.
watch football all day every Saturday.
You'll be
what's that you
fine.
say? You're already doing that? You are more qualified to scout for an NFL general manager than half the people who are currently employed.
Okay. But Daniel, I got to tell you, and
Okay.
we've had a rash of this position group treat us well.
Mm,
And it doesn't even have
we
to do
have.
with Jimmy C being there, because he might be out recruited on the trail by the tight end room.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Jaden Riddell is on campus, Daniel. And this tall drink of water, 6'4", 235. 7th best tight end, but I don't really care about that, because if you look at what this kid is able to do, he fits in. When I say this, please hear me. He fits exactly what we need him to be in our offense. This isn't Missouri of like 4 years ago where they had those double tight end threats that were just big ogre kind of dudes. This is not that. This guy is nimble as Jack Be Quick, and he is fantastic with the football in his hands. He knows how to get inline blocking. I don't care what he says. I've watched, like, he is not just a receiving threat. I think Jaden is a guy that I am thrilled to see, because we saw Bowers. We know we got an Oscar Delp. Lucky is there. We have dudes, but this is what excites me. He's just going to fit in perfectly with the system already before him. He doesn't have to be Brock Bowers. He gets to go up with everybody else there. And I think this kid is going to shock us with his athleticism this spring. He's going to be a favorite. When Puglisi gets in there, when those guys are running around, he's going to be an absolute favorite target and a great guy to do a whole lot of stuff. You can do any route combination with him. You can put him against a DB, a linebacker. I am thrilled to see his continued legacy of tight ends at UGA.
Yeah, and it's a prototype Georgia's going after.
Yes.
This kid didn't play tight end in high school. He played wide receiver. This is a pass catcher. He just happens to be 6'4", 230, which means, a la Oscar Delp,
Yep.
he can come inside and he can hit you and he can move you. But you know what else he can do? You can split him outside, and he can also hit somebody and move them and let people run after the catch with downfield blocking on the outside. Does Kirby Smart care about downfield blocking on the perimeter, Clint?
That's why Tuggle's a dude that I really am curious by. I'm very intrigued by Tuggle and his ability.
Sure.
But the problem that I need to know with any receiver at UGA before anything is said and done is, will you put in the hard work of blocking downfield? Because if you aren't, I will not learn your name. Like I just won't, because you won't see the field. I shouldn't bother learning your name.
But with
This
Riddell,
guy,
it's the opposite when it comes to a tight end.
yes,
Georgia recruits athletic pass catchers who have tight end size.
Mhm.
That's who Oscar Delp is. He's not a tight end. He doesn't play tight end. Jaden Riddell doesn't play tight end. He will at Georgia. He might be tight to the line of scrimmage often at Georgia, but he never was in high school. Georgia recruits pass catchers with elite mismatch size, and that's exactly what this kid has. And that's exactly what makes him a perfect candidate to step right in. Oh, by the way, that's what Lawson Lucky is. Oh, by the way, that's what Oscar Delp, we already mentioned, is. That's like the list of names
keep
that
going.
Georgia has gone with at this position just speaks for itself. These are pass catchers, and they also happen to be big and physical in the blocking game at the line of scrimmage and downfield. I
Again,
love
if Georgia grabs all of the tight end weapons like this, like Notre Dame can go get 6'5", like clodhopper tight end that just knows how to do a Jason Witten 7-yard button hook. Like, that's cool. Go get them all day long. I don't care. But if we grab all the tight ends that are able to be like antelope in space, and you don't get them, we get all of them.
Zero-sum game recruiting. Every recruit we get, you don't get that recruit.
So if we have all of those antelopes at tight end, there's nobody DB linebacker that can keep up. Oh, but just if they were, they'd be on Georgia as well. So
we recruited them already. So
we got them already. So you're screwed.
Doesn't matter. We're coming back in the third segment. We're talking about who might be the most interesting prospect that Georgia signed in this class this year. And it's not who you think it is. We'll talk about it right after these.
But first, FanDuel. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is fantastic. They are great. Daniel, we love them.
Yes.
You should love them too.
Oh, I love them.
I know you do, because right now you can go ahead and get bonus bets for every $5 bet you make. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more. Basketball season is full swing. Baseball season is right around the corner. Go ahead and get on the action right there. Ronald Acuña MVP, sure, why not? And I would go ahead and just sprinkle some on Austin Riley MVP incoming, because that might be real as well. Also, go ahead and you want a sleeper pick. You can get a lot of juice on this, y'all. Spencer Strider, I know, is fantastic, but if you don't think his curveball is going to make him Cy Young front runner very early on, y'all got nothing coming. And you can get that over at FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Get bonus bets for every $5 bet that you make. Make every moment more. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply.
Turned into a Braves ad read there for a second. Yeah. Listen. Well, we're going to go through 2 of these episodes talking about freshmen that you need to watch this spring. And we're not going to talk about KJ Bolden.
Like, he might be. Now, really quick, he may be, when all is said and done, the most important recruit for Georgia this year. And I'm not lying when I say that.
Oh, very much so.
He might be. End of the year, we might be looking back like, oh my gosh, without KJ
might be the
Bolden,
best player in this class. He might be the most important player in this class.
Correct.
And yet, so it's not that we're down on him. It's just that we've only been able to name 6 names. Now we've cheated a little bit, and we've named about 4 on this episode, and now we've named him as well. But can we talk about Joseph Jonah Ajonye? He is a defensive tackle, defensive lineman.
When people say unicorn, they misappropriate unicorn. This is the only appropriate term used for this guy, and him only.
Yeah. He's 6'4", 275. He comes out of Conroe, Texas. He's a fast, twitchy, physical interior defensive lineman. Just an absolute hit you in the mouth, move you out of the way, and get to the quarterback type of defensive lineman. That's not what makes him profoundly interesting, Clint.
Nope.
What makes him profoundly interesting to you?
Well, okay, so again, Texas, again, Houston area, Texas, again, 4-star recruit. But normally, Daniel, see what typically happens is when you get that 4th star, it's because you've been through 7 circuits. You've been on the radar since you were 12 years. You've done them.
Mom and dad done spent that gas money for years getting you to them camps.
Years. And so to be a 4-star out of Texas, you have to get your name right and known and propped up and gas. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Joseph's only been playing for a few years and just got over to America from Nigeria when he was 15. And oh, wait, he himself is 17 years old and he played basketball up until recently. And now he's getting into it, and he's just now getting a taste. 6'4", 275, 4-star out of Houston, Texas area, and he is just now getting a taste.
He
of
literally
what it's like.
just started playing football, and the recruiting services looked at him for 5 minutes and were like, 4 stars. That's who you. That's
who your barely tapped floor is.
17 years old.
Okay. Currently, not 17 when he got the 4th star, not 17 when he was recruited. He was 16 when he was recruited.
No, he's enrolled right now on campus at Georgia, about to participate in spring practice. He's 17 years old. He's barely been playing football, and now all of a sudden he shows up to the University of Georgia. He shows up to the program, and he puts himself in the hands, we've said it before, of the best developers, the absolute cream of the crop in terms of coaching and development, and helping him to elevate his game and get to where he wants to go. This kid is only just scratching the surface of who he could be as a football player. It's fair to say that he's a bit of a lottery ticket. All recruiting, we've said before on this podcast, is a bit of a lottery ticket. It's fair to say he's a bit of a lottery ticket, but it's not a fair comp, really, because the floor on a lottery ticket, Clint, what's the least amount of money you can win when you buy a lottery ticket?
Well, you can just win zero, Daniel.
Oh, it's $0. So the
Correct.
money you spent on that ticket, negative that much money. That's how much you can end up with. Okay. So this is a lottery ticket in the sense that there is a jackpot possibility with this kid, and I mean jackpot in terms of a defensive line.
We already said Justin Williams might be approaching the floor of an all-time great at UGA, just already there. If I were to take you back to another raw, talented, giant human that came into Georgia, a la Jordan Davis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Ajonye is ahead of him with less experience, more raw than Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
With same freakish, twitchy ability. And this kid is probably just as joyful to thump on people as Jordan Davis is. Probably just as happy to do exactly that. It's remarkable just how much of a lotto ticket that has the sky high limit.
He's athletic. Like, he's not just a big body. He is a twitchy freak athlete. Again,
he wasn't playing football because he was playing basketball.
He was playing basketball. So you say Jordan Davis. Well, it's not really a Jordan Davis comp, because like Jordan Davis he's a freakish athlete for his size.
Correct.
This guy is just a great athlete.
Period. No asterisk.
No asterisks whatsoever. And oh, by the way, he's not nearly the biggest defensive line recruit coming. Jordan Thomas.
Oh my gosh.
He coming in well over 3 bills on the
Yeah.
inside of the defensive line. Another 4-star kid. Like, the defensive line recruiting in this class, I mean, I
Obscene.
said it before. The linebacker recruiting, the corner recruiting, the tight end recruiting, the defensive line recruiting, the offensive tackle recruit. This class is different. Clint.
The more that
That's
we
the
talk
point
about
we're
it,
trying to
I'm
make.
I'm just telling you all, remember this 2024, the year of our Lord. Just mark it down. And if you want to talk about sustained success at UGA,
Yeah.
look no further than this class right here, Daniel.
Yeah, and like it's just the thing that's going to separate Georgia from all the other contenders moving forward for years to come. So those are our names to watch. We've got more guys that we're going to talk about. Probably done with the freshmen. We're going to move on to transfers coming in. We're going to talk about returning players. We're going to talk about newcomers, players that have been on the bench waiting their turn. We've got lots of guys you need to keep your eyes on this spring, and we will have it for you for the rest of the week here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. And we'll see you guys then.